Hi, Scorpio. I'm Alexander Creek, astrologer and intuitive. Welcome to your June 2024 horoscope. Make sure that if you're enjoying watching this content, that you like the video, subscribe, and click that little notification bell so you don't miss an update. And special hello to those of you listening to the audio only version of this podcast as well. So we have a lot going on this month, and especially in the beginning part, because there's all this like excitable Gemini energy happening. And this is also bringing up Jupiter in Gemini, which I'm going to talk about right now as well. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity and wisdom, and it has just left Taurus, and it is now in Gemini, where it's going to be until June 10th, 2020. Excuse me, June 10th, 2025. It's been there since about May 25th. So it's been there for a couple days already, but it's very, very fresh. So Jupiter is moving into another part of your chart, which I'm going to talk about too. And it's going to be, it tends to bring expansion and opportunity to kind of whatever it touches. Jupiter and Gemini generally, just kind of across the board, very busy energy, very much about opening the mind, about learning, about communication, about like, it's very curious, intellectual energy. The thing about Jupiter and Gemini is it does tend to spread its energy and can go in multiple different directions. And you're gonna want to allow yourself to be spontaneous, like to be like, yeah, I want to try this, and I want to try this, and I just kind of want to see where this goes. But at the same time, I would say make sure that you are prioritizing your energy, that you know what your goals are, and that you don't spread yourself too thin, because it will be square Saturn. And Saturn will be asking you to build, to focus, to remember to know your priorities and stick to them, and not get lost in the weeds or waste your efforts so that you find yourself bearing no fruit at the end of this transit. And also with Jupiter, sometimes it does hand you a miraculous opportunity and blessing. Most of the time, it's going to open a door for you so that you can take the step forward that is necessary to achieve that goal, or to, access that energy. It is really a door opener versus like, here's this thing, although that does happen sometimes. But just before you complain at me that nothing happened that nothing happened with Jupiter and Taurus for you, it depends on your chart, but it also really depends on you taking those actions, essentially. So Jupiter has moved into the 8th house for you. And the 8th house has to do with other people's money and resources, as well as the shared like intimacy and psychological baggage that happens when you get into relationships. So first of all, Jupiter going through your 8th house for a year can be good because this is money that is like credit cards, loans, debts, student loans, insurance, but also inheritance, grants, financial aid, crowdfunding, money that is connected through like a partner, or resources and backing from other people. So this can be really good energy for, say, you want to refinance, like you want to move some debt around, or access some kind of capital, for let's say for your business, or like this could just really kind of expand your access to that money, or your access to those resources. And in some cases, it could be that maybe you do receive an inheritance, or that you get a fat tax refund or something. At the same time, if you're not watching carefully, it could be that you owe taxes or something. So you do just kind of want to be strategic and make sure that you're not spending money that you don't have, but it will allow you access and opportunity to this type of money and capital. And it can be good for really bringing in, bigger opportunities. If you're freelance, or you're self-employed, the 8th house is your client's money. Like there's more of it for you. And it's saying like you could be building some wealth with Jupiter in Gemini. The other thing is there's a really sharing kind of energy that happens in the 8th house, because the 7th house is our relationships. The 8th house is like, well, what happens when we get into those relationships? And the 8th house is the energy and intimacy that we share with other people, and also like collaborating with people. Like maybe collaborating with people can net you money or opportunities. And frankly, it's these sort of intimate psychological things that happen with with here as well. It's like when you merge with someone romantically or platonically and otherwise, we can kind of take on their energy and their information. So there's good things to that, and there can be some negatives to that as well. So it may be about like opening up your energy to kind of share to share in these sort of vulnerable kind of partnerships, but also to make sure that you are protecting your energy to some degree as well. So really interesting energy for you with Jupiter going into Gemini this year. So that leads us into the new moon in Gemini happening on June 6th. This could be an opportunity involving, again, other people's capital, other people's resources. There's a seed being planted here at this time, and it may reveal to you more about what Jupiter will be doing for you for the next year and kind of what that looks like. So if you are thinking about doing the refinancing thing or needing access to capital or whatever it is, or it could be just those more vulnerable conversations, because it is Gemini happening for you around the collaboration or the coming together in those more intimate kind of relationships. This is a very lively and busy new moon also. There's a lot of planets in Gemini happening in that part of your chart. So very busy, the need to talk, communicate, explore new information, being curious, trying things with this new moon, especially relating to those 8th house topics that I mentioned. At the same time, it is squaring Saturn in Pisces in your 5th house. So there could be, generally, there is that feeling of like making sure you focus on your priorities and making sure that you are building something. But there could be conversations perhaps around, let's say, things around like your love relationships and romantic relationships. There could be feelings of responsibility and commitment to those or working on those. Perhaps making time to work on your creative projects, or your children could be, there could be a commitment or responsibility to children in your life, or something maybe financially connected to them as well, happening with this new moon. And finally, Venus is very close to the sun and moon around the time of this new moon. So there may be, what kind of themes coming up around commitment, or is it worth it, or what is the value of, because Venus is relationships and worth and value. So it could be looking at like, is this relationship worth it? Or having to, work on things connected to that, or am I feeling valued? Do I not feel valued in this relationship? Or those sort of general type themes coming up with this new moon as well. So, anywho, okay, let's move on. So I was like, I don't think I have anything else to say about that. So next, on June 9th, a couple days later, Mars, the planet of action, energy, how we accomplish our to-do list and assert ourselves, is moving from fiery, independent warrior spirit Aries to more conservative, thoughtful, and persistent Taurus. So Mars will be moving into your partnership sector of your chart. There is, I feel, maybe some relationship stuff coming in for you with Mars in this part of your chart. Maybe you are wanting to move things along. So Mars can be where you're motivated to take action. So you could be more motivated to take action in partnerships, maybe solidify partnerships. It could be that you have to bring up some conflict and frankly air some stuff out of like, hey, I feel mistreated, or because Mars can be about conflict. So it can be that we are kind of what we're wanting to go into partnership more, that we're motivated to take action in partnership, or that we have to sort of air our feelings out with partnership here as well. Taurus is interesting because it's going to move slower perhaps than Mars and Aries, or it's going to be more thoughtful around, is this action I'm taking worth it? However, Mars is Mars, and Mars going into your 7th house can mean, frankly, that you're motivated to take action in relationships, but also make conflict and inflammation may come up in this part of your life as well. So I would say take action before, do not let that energy kind of fester. You're going to want to kind of bring that up right away. But I do kind of feel like there's action in partnerships. There's a lot happening for you, collaboration in partnerships with Jupiter and Mars and Saturn. So I do kind of get relationshipy energy, but not harmonious necessarily. It's like, what's happening? What are we doing? Let's take action is kind of the vibe I get from that in your partnerships. And by the way, it's not just romantic, it's business, it's platonic, it's, there's energy of other people, of like, we're heat, passion involving others. So I did want to mention before I continue, I do have a class that I'm teaching. It's my first astrology class that I'm offering. It's going to be Venus in the birth chart. So this is Venus is the planet of relationships and pleasure. And kind of what delights and what excites you, what you like in relationships, what you're attracted to. It can be about secret talents or how you magnetize things to you. So you're going to learn about your Venus in your birth chart. So how it expresses herself, what life areas she comes alive in, and what life areas she governs. So she could be in charge of your money. She could be in charge of your work. She can come alive in your romance sector. We'll be looking at celebrity examples and also doing chart readings. And I'll be doing chart readings for people that come as well as time allows. And that's really like the magic and kind of finding out how it all works together. And the goal with this workshop is to teach bite-sized astrology that's digestible, but not fluff. Like it is substantial. You're learning some technical things. So class will be on Wednesday, June 12th at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. The link to sign up will be in the comments or the show notes, or if you can't find those, just email me. If you do miss class, if you miss it live, the recording will be sent to you. So speaking of Venus, we have Venus, that planet of love and relationships and pleasure, moving into Cancer out of Gemini. So she'll be moving into Cancer on June 17th and will be there to July 11th, which means for you, she is moving into your 9th house. So first of all, Venus going from, like flirty, social, intellectual Gemini, to more nurturing, emotional security and meaningful connection focused Venus in Cancer. So Venus will go into that 9th house for you. And 9th house is like higher education, spirituality, divination, tarot, astrology, things like that. Also things connected to travel as well. So it could be that maybe there's travel like involving family or meaningful connections with others coming up for you. It could be about that this might be a really good opportunity for you to learn something new, to learn something connected to higher education, or to take a class on something, or to simply kind of spend time reading and studying and kind of engaging the mind. This is a good time to kind of just engage in higher mind and travel type things, or take a class with me. I'm just saying. So anyway, but for real, that's 9th house. That is 9th house energy. So it could also even be like perhaps there's like a romantic opportunity. It's probably not. I mean, I would say this is going to be in the minority, but it could be that a romantic opportunity presents itself, or perhaps an opportunity to socialize with others. For people who have different cultural backgrounds, because that is for Venus in the 9th house, or maybe meeting someone from like an exotic land, that's also very Venus in the 9th house as well. So finally, we have a full moon happening on June 22nd in the sign of Capricorn. So, full moons in astrology tends to be about completion, culmination, things coming to a head, awareness, news, or an event, or just like there's an area of focus kind of going on with that full moon. We get 2 full moons in the same sign back to back. So we have a full moon in Capricorn on June 22nd at 1 degree, and the second full moon that we have next month will be at 29 degrees. 29 degrees is like this degree of endings, like finality, and like, so there is this 2-part energy going on with this full moon in Capricorn. So this first one, it does take place in your 3rd house. So it could be something involving your siblings, really something involving the mind. So involving the mind, communication projects, perhaps the completion of a course, or that you're working on a course, or something that you are studying, or something involving like travel. It's just like a 3rd house is really busy energy, essentially. So it could just be communication. It could be travel. It could be or something engaging your mind going on around June 22nd. I would also be paying attention to Saturn at that time, because Saturn will be stationing retrograde. It doesn't go retrograde until June 29th, but basically on June 22nd, it has stopped moving essentially from our vantage point, and will be moving backwards again from our vantage point. I know astronomically it does not do that, but astrology it's about our perception. So Saturn rules Capricorn. That's why I'm talking about that. And so it's going to prompt some review, some reassessment of 5th house things, because Saturn is in your 5th house of romance and pleasure and creativity. It could be locking things down with a romantic partner, closing things up as far as, going from open relationship to closed. It could be about reviewing, reassessing creative projects, things connected to your children, or anything that brings you pleasure, your creative energy. It's you're looking at it differently, or you're going to be more committed. And Saturn going retrograde, there's just going to be more like we're going to notice what's doing more. And so this also involves third house things, so the communication, the travel, and also home and family. There's shifts. There's a renewed area of focus with Saturn going retrograde. So that's a piece of that full moon story. And I do feel like that story will complete next month during that second full moon. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. That was your forecast for June 2024. Let me know maybe your rising sign or your big three in the comments. Let me know maybe during the month how things are kind of manifesting for you. Don't forget about my class on June 12th if you're interested. So talk to you soon. I'll have a video for you next week. And thanks for watching.